I never wanted their approval. At least, that's what I told myself as I stood in my corner suite overlooking the Chicago skyline, the hum of the city a low, distant echo through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The email blinking on my screen was from my older brother. Dad's been laid off. Mom's health bills are piling up. I know you're probably tight on funds, but if you could spare anything... A sharp laugh escaped me, one without humor. If only they knew. 15 years ago, when I was just 17, I stood in our drafty kitchen in Akron, Ohio. My acceptance to the Parsons School of Design lay on the table, and my stepfather's face was red with rage. Photography? You think that's a career? He held the letter like it burned. You're going to waste your life on pipe dreams, Elsie? Grow up. My mother leaned on the sink, eyes hollow. She never said much when he got like that, just drifted out of herself, leaving me alone in the storm. I earned a scholarship, I whispered, and I've been saving from waitressing. Enough. You're going to med school like your brother. Final word. But for the first time, it wasn't. No. That word cracked something open in me, and in him. His face twisted, veins bulging. Then get out. Think you're grown? Prove it. Just don't show up begging later. That night, I stuffed thrift store clothes into a worn backpack. My brother Caleb stood in the hallway, stunned. You're really doing it? I have to. I can't keep living for someone else. As I zipped my bag, Mom slipped in quietly. She didn't say much. Never did, but she pressed something into my hand. A small velvet pouch. Your Aunt Clara wanted you to have this when it mattered. I think it matters now. Inside was a locket and a tiny folded note with a key taped to it. A safety deposit box. I opened the letter that night in a $40.00 motel room on the edge of town. Elsie, if you're reading this, you've finally taken the first step toward becoming who you were meant to be. I'm proud of you already. And just like that, I knew I'd never go back. Not to beg, not to prove, only to build. Always believed you would. That was the first line in Grandma Clara's second letter. The key inside belongs to box 247 at Lakeshore First Bank. Open it when you're ready. Inside, you'll find what you need to begin. And remember, true art isn't just about creating something beautiful. It's about recognizing worth where others see none. Love always. Grandma Clara. The next morning, I walked into the bank with trembling hands. The safety deposit box wasn't large, but inside it held an odd collection, some vintage jewelry, neatly bundled documents, and another letter. The note explained the truth. Clara hadn't just dabbled in antiques. She'd been a serious collector in the 1930s. The jewelry? It wasn't costume. It was authentic, Art Nouveau and Deco-era design. And it had quietly passed through generations. Take these to Renzo Vega at North Loop Antiquities. He'll know their real value. I nearly dropped the entire box when Renzo completed his appraisal. The jewelry collection was worth over $430,000, 0 cents. But what truly changed my life was what came next. He looked me over carefully. You see value where others don't. Would you like to learn the trade? That was the beginning. Renzo became my mentor, teaching me everything, from authentication to negotiation, from auction etiquette to private acquisitions. I was hooked. By 20, I'd already built a small online platform. By 24, I opened my first gallery in Lincoln Park. Now, at 27, I own a national network of private art dealerships with a personal net worth of over $14,600,000, 0 cents. My family still thought I worked odd jobs or lived in a walk-up somewhere in Milwaukee. I kept that image alive. No press, no mentions, just quiet growth. Until that email from Caleb. Mom and Dad are drowning in debt. Could you chip in, even just a little? I stared at the screen, then picked up my phone. Hey Caleb, bring them both to my office tomorrow. Your office? What, like the cafe you used to temp at? No, my actual office, Morgan Tower. I'll text the address. He laughed. I'll see. Morgan Tower? You can't just waltz in there pretending you were. I smiled at the floor-to-ceiling windows around me. I had bought Morgan Tower outright last spring. Trust me, Caleb, they'll let me in. Just be there. 9 a.m. And Caleb? Tell Mom and Dad to bring all the mortgage paperwork, every page. The next morning, I stood at the window of my office, top floor, Morgan Tower, watching as my family's dented silver sedan pulled into the private drive. Even from 30 stories up, I could see the hesitation in their steps as a uniformed security guard greeted them and escorted them not to the lobby, but to the executive elevator, the one that only led to my floor. A soft buzz from the intercom. "Miss Vaughn, your family has arrived," my assistant said. "Send them in," I replied, my voice steady as I turned to face the door. The moment they stepped inside, I saw it. Dad froze in the middle of the room. Mom clutched the doorframe, eyes wide. Caleb just stood there, blinking, like the entire scene might vanish if he stared hard enough. They were expecting a coffee counter. A rented cubicle, not a gallery office hybrid, lined with multi-million-dollar originals and glass cases displaying 20th century art pieces. Not a custom Art Deco desk once owned by a Roosevelt heiress. Not this view of Chicago sprawled beneath me like a crown I'd quietly earned. "Elsie," Mom whispered, "what is this?" I smiled softly. "This is my office. Welcome to Vaughn Fine Art and Acquisition." My father's complexion had already begun the familiar shift, from disbelief to denial to fury. "No," he said, pointing. "You're a barista. You live in a shoebox. You post pictures of ramen noodles and laundry baskets." I stepped toward the wall and gently tapped a frame. A painting I bought for $500, 0 cents. Now appraised at $2,300,000, 0 cents. Actually, I'm the CEO and founder of the largest private art brokerage firm in the U.S. Those posts, they were fiction. Strategic, curated fiction. Caleb's mouth opened, but words didn't come. "The Morgan Tower," he managed, "is mine," I finished. Technically, it was held under my firm's name, but since I owned the firm, that's when Dad snapped. "You kept this from us? We're your family." "Secretly, what?" I cut him off. "Succeeding? Building something real? Proving you wrong." I returned to my desk, sat down, and glanced at the papers they still clutched. "Now, let's talk about your mortgage." The room was dead silent. Dad's fury turned silent. Mom ran her fingers along the edge of my desk, her eyes searching for proof this wasn't just a dream. And if you think that conversation was intense, just wait until you see what I told them next. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of how I turned silence into power. Caleb just stood there, mouth slightly agape, staring at the original Legere mounted beside the espresso bar. I opened my laptop, pulled up my business dashboard, and slowly turned the screen toward them. Since we're being honest now, here's my current balance. $14,236,542, cents. My mother gasped audibly. My father's fingers trembled where they gripped the armrest. Caleb dropped his leather portfolio, the same one he flaunted at Thanksgiving as his promotion gift. "This is why you're here," I said evenly, sliding a folder across the desk. "You're 3 months behind on the mortgage. Foreclosure's in process." "How do you know that?" Caleb stammered. I didn't blink. "I hold a controlling stake in Wells Rowe, your mortgage lender. I know everything." I looked at my father. "Your bad stock trades, Mom's medical debts, and Caleb, your condo project in Lakeview, underwater, again." Finally, Dad's voice returned. "You knew we were struggling and said nothing? We're your family, Elsie." I stood up slowly, planting both hands on my Art Deco desk. "You remember the night you threw me out? Don't come crawling back when you fail. Those were your words." "We were trying to protect you," he insisted, eyes narrowing. "No," I said, calm but firm. "You were trying to control me. That's not the same thing." I walked to the window, the skyline glittering like the empire I had quietly built. 10 years, no help, no belief. Just me, my instincts, and the key Grandma Clara gave me. Mom's eyes snapped up. "Clara? What did she give you?" "Faith," I said, turning back to face them. She saw what none of you did. That I could do this. That I'd build something lasting. I scanned their stunned faces. Every holiday you mocked me. Still with the art stuff, Elsie? Come work in Caleb's mailroom, Elsie. Caleb had the sense to look away. But now, I continued, now that you've seen my bank balance, suddenly I'm family again. Suddenly, I matter. My father straightened, business mode activated. We can talk about all that later. Right now, we need to... Stop right there, I said, voice like stone. I raised my hand. Before you say anything else, let me show you something. I tapped a button on my desk and the massive screen behind me flickered to life. One by one, files appeared. Bank statements, title deeds, loan defaults, investment breakdowns. This, I said calmly, is everything. Every loan, every debt, every failure, the total to wipe it all clean, to stabilize everything, is exactly $2,400,000, 0 cents. My father's eyes lit up with something I hadn't seen in years, hope. Caleb's lips parted in a stunned smile. Mom reached out and gently touched my hand. I pulled back. I've had that money set aside in a reserve account for a long time, I said. Every time things got bad, every time the foreclosure letters arrived, I watched. I waited. Waited for what? Caleb asked. To see if you'd change, if you'd take accountability, but you never did. I stood again, letting the weight of the moment settle. Instead, you borrowed more, mortgaged the house again, burned bridges, blamed circumstance. Then I walked to my desk and sat down. Here's what's going to happen. I'll pay off every debt, I'll save the house, and I'll even establish a trust to ensure financial stability for the future. They started talking over one another, relieved, excited. I raised my hand once more. But there are conditions. The room stilled. First, Dad, you retire, no more hedge funds, no more crypto ventures, just rest. You've earned it, but you've also cost us enough. He looked away, jaw clenched. Second, I turned to Caleb. You'll dissolve the failing Lakeview condo project. And then, you'll enroll in that music therapy program you once told me about, before you buried yourself in real estate. His eyes widened. He hadn't mentioned that dream in 10 years. Third, Mom, I said gently, you'll open the bookstore, the one you always imagined near the lake. I'll fund it. Her eyes brimmed. She'd shelved that dream 3 decades ago to support Dad's ambitions. And, finally, I met each of their eyes. We do therapy, weekly, together, because this isn't just about money anymore. And I'm done pretending it is. Dad opened his mouth, ready to object, but Mom placed a hand over his. We'll do it, she said quietly. All of it. I nodded once, then pressed the intercom. Anna, bring in the contract. These documents make everything official, I said as I handed the folders across the desk. The debt clearance, the trust setup, and all the conditions. Take them home, read every line. They nodded, still visibly rattled. My father's hands trembled as he held the papers like they might vanish if he blinked too hard. As they turned to leave, I spoke once more, quietly but firmly. And Dad, that thing you said 10 years ago, about me calling when I failed. He turned, his face a complicated tangle of guilt, pride, and something I'd never seen in his eyes before, regret. I met his gaze. I never failed. I just succeeded without you. They left without another word, the heavy silence following them out. I stood at the window and watched their car disappear into the stream of downtown traffic. A moment later, my assistant Anna stepped in, setting a cup of chamomile tea on the edge of my desk. She always knew. You okay? She asked softly. I paused, thinking of those lonely holidays, the nights I worked until dawn, the moments I doubted everything. Then I thought of this moment, this peace. Yeah, I said, a faint smile tugging at my lips. I think I finally am. The next morning they came back, with signed documents, tentative smiles, and the weight of a different future on their shoulders. It wasn't instant, Years of silence and wounds don't evaporate just because you sign on the dotted line. But it started, and that was enough. Dad, retired, truly retired, apologized one morning over coffee. I didn't cry, but it cracked something open. Mom opened the Violet Finch bookshop tucked in Old Town. Locals adore it. So does she. Caleb? He went back to school and now teaches music therapy at a small charter school near Logan Square. His smile doesn't look forced anymore. I kept building, this time without hiding. No more downplaying my wins, no more staged modesty, because real power doesn't come from proving people wrong, it comes from proving yourself right. On my desk now sits Grandma Clara's old jewelry box. Inside is one piece I never sold. A plain gold locket, her photo tucked inside. On the hard days I open it and read her note again. True art isn't just creating beauty. It's recognizing worth where others see none. She was right. And the rarest thing I ever found was my own. If my story resonated with you, even a little, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what aha moment hit you the hardest. Tell me if you've ever had to walk away from people who didn't believe in you, or if you're still trying to find your voice. This isn't just my story. It's the story of anyone who's been underestimated, dismissed, or quietly pushed aside. So let's talk. Let's build a space where people like us, builders, dreamers, black sheep turned visionaries, can be heard. I didn't share this story for pity or praise. I shared it because too often we're told to shrink ourselves to make others comfortable. Too often success is seen as defiance instead of growth. But here's my advice. Don't wait for permission to become who you were meant to be. Choose yourself, even when no one else does. To those still in the thick of it, still fighting to be seen, keep going. The loneliness won't last forever. The work matters. You matter. And one day, when the people who doubted you finally see what you've built, you won't need their validation. You'll already have your own. If you're ready to stand behind stories like mine, to support people who've turned pain into power, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep telling stories that matter. Let's keep proving that quiet determination is louder than empty judgment. And if you're sitting with dreams you haven't spoken out loud yet, let this be your sign. You don't need their approval. You just need to start.